I don't believe in competition. I don't. Even in my own field with insurance. I'll work with other insurance agents. I don't care. Yep. Let's all come up together.
Whatever it is, you find that community that you can connect with and that you can, talk with whenever you are having those moments of struggle, because as a business ownership,
it's coming.
It's going to happen.
It's not if, but
it's
when. And the relationship flows and you get to this point where you can look back and say, man, I've got people around me that really not just care about me because I have a business or I have money or I have this or that. They care about me because I'm an individual, I'm a human being.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the FIP Printing Pros Podcast. Again, my name is Josh Steinison. I'll be your host. And today I got a fellow veteran and friend with me, Julian. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit to everybody.
Thank you, Josh. My name is Julian Sinisterra. I am a proud Navy veteran. Go Navy.
I won't hold that against you.
No. Everybody needs help, even the big old Army dudes.
I don't know if I'm a big old Army dude, but
Well, in your mind you are. You all are. But that's okay. We still have love for our lesser brothers in green. I am the director of VetNet, which is the Veteran Business Owners Group of Ocala. I am myself a business owner. I've been an entrepreneur for going on 15 years in various industries. And I'm very thankful for what you're doing and how you're doing it. So thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little about your business since I got you on here?
Oh, man. So where do we start? We wear many hats. Main business that I have, I'm a risk manager, commercial insurance. I've had an agency for, again, the last 15 years. And what I like about that, because it relates to everything else that I do and that we dabble in, we get to work with small and mid-sized business owners in the entrepreneur journey. And we get to just sit right there on their shoulder and see how they're doing things and why they're doing it and where and when and why and all the good things about a business. Yep. So I'm able to kind of play business owner in a whole bunch of different industries without having to put in the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the main line of business. We started 2 nonprofits in the last few years to support the entrepreneur community. We have the Hispanic Business Council, which is a resource of education and networking for the Hispanic community of entrepreneurs. And we have VetNet, which is my
baby.
I don't want to call it a baby because then I'm going to have all the Jarhead Marines come after me. And
that's true, yeah.
But it is the one that is closest to my heart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it talks about my journey and it talks about perception versus reality of being a veteran and of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right? So what we do in VetNet, and we focus right now, in North Central Florida, Ocala, Marion County, and the surrounding areas, we help the brothers and sisters, because that's what we all call each other, because it is a brotherhood and sisterhood. We help them go into entrepreneurship, succeed in entrepreneurship and business ownership. We help them structure, organize, and even grow their businesses. We help them network, we help them connect. But more importantly, man, we really dive deep into mental health and physical health of the veteran while they're doing entrepreneurship and business ownership. Being an entrepreneur is hard enough as it is, right? And we're very direct. We know each other for a while now.
Yeah.
So we're not going to cut corners or sugarcoat it. Most of our veterans coming out are all screwed up. So in addition to them all being all screwed up in various sorts of ways, for various sorts of reasons, then you add the added stress of starting and running a business, right?
Yep.
So there's things there that I think we can bring to the table to help them, not just with the business ownership, but also with the mental health side of it. Nobody likes the VA, but it is a necessary evil. Yeah. There are a lot of programs there. There are resources. There is care that is available to us. It may be a little bit hard to get, but again, that's what we're here for, to be able to say, hey, you know what? They denied you 3 times. 4th time's the charm, buddy. But let's put it this way. Let's phrase it this way, or let me hook you up with this attorney, or why don't you get a buddy letter like this? And just having that knowledge and that experience around of everybody that's a part of the group that we're able to share free. Hopefully that'll help, the veteran.
Yeah, and I met you at honestly a crucial time in my life / career because I was in the middle of transitioning from Nebraska coming over here to Florida.
A little bit different, right?
A little bit different, obviously, but obviously I had coming from Nebraska where I grew up for 20 plus years.
That's right.
Had my friends, my family, I had everybody there that I kind of grew up with and had that. I knew the people I could go to and like get my help. And obviously moving here to a new place, especially at our age, when you're older, it's a lot harder to make friends.
You're calling older, my man.
I mean, we're in the same range,
Not. Oh man.
You're still
flattery will get you everywhere, my friend.
You're still the OG, but
Yes.
I'm still in that. If you put me in a bracket where you got the range, I'm at the bottom of the range. You're at the top of the range.
Oh man, well, you gotta hurt me there.
Does that feel
Freaking
better?
Army guys. Golly.
But so when I came in, obviously, just friendship in general is a tough thing to do, but also, I'm jumping into a whole different beast.
Right.
The business I had in Nebraska, was not like 6 times smaller than what this business is here. So like I was jumping into a whole different world of what I had already experienced. I mean, I only had 1 employee.
Yeah, it's different levels.
Yeah,
right?
my partner and I, we only had 1 employee. And then jumping into this, we had 10 employees. So, you jump into a whole different world when it comes to that kind of navigation as a business owner. And then obviously my own struggles, as I talked about in the first episode, my own struggles in my veteran life, I guess, my normal life.
That's a good term, my normal life, right?
Yeah.
You got to put that in quotation somewhere, buddy.
Yeah. And, that I met, I can't even remember how we met. Do you remember
It was
how
a
we met?
networking thing, I think, that somebody knew somebody, and it was all in the veteran space, which I love.
Yeah.
Because that veteran connection is always everywhere. It's just not visible like some other connections are.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we kind of wound up being in the same room and just getting into a conversation.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that my wife still doesn't like fully wrap her head around. She gets it because she's been around enough, but it's super funny when I literally just meet somebody, find out they're a veteran, and we're like best friends.
See, that's the thing, and that goes to the spirit of our organization, and it goes to what we're trying to do. And look, I've always said this: I love business. Business is the shiznit, right?
Yep.
A lot of opportunity. People don't realize that business is 90% mental.
Yeah.
It's 90% mental and 10% physical. I coach kids for flag football and basketball, and I tell them the same thing because it's true. The game is mostly mental. It is psychological, right? It's emotional. We're taught not to look at those things, though.
Yeah.
We're taught to look at metrics and data, customers, clients, products, services, as we should, right?
Yep.
But nobody's talking about that whole mental, emotional, psychological side of business, of entrepreneurship, especially when you're coming over from a whole different environment, a whole different state, whole different everything, and you're coming in here to Florida, and we're special here in Florida.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, nobody's talking about the veteran status and what that means mentally, emotionally, and psychologically to somebody.
Yeah.
90% mental. It's not just for business. We always thought, I think that the term veteran, and we talked about this many times before, man, the term veteran, as it is a very misunderstood term. You see? Yeah. I think that our opinion, what we've seen is veteran is a hybrid. And what do you mean by a hybrid, man? Look, we're little boys, right, and little girls, and we grow up and we're like, man, you know what? I want to go serve for various reasons. I want to give back. I want to be patriotic. I want to defend. I want to do something with my life. I'm about to get arrested, whatever it is, right? And we join. And so there's a transition right there, and that transition starts when you go off to boot camp. And what happens at boot camp,
to break you down,
people don't realize it's not really a physical evolution. Yeah, they put you through the paces, but we were running, and we were doing a lot of push-ups, man. And back in my day, my buddy, look all right.
Yep.
But what they're really doing is they're working your emotional and your psychological side, and they're breaking it down and reconstructing it in a different image, right?
Yep.
That's a permanent change. That is a permanent change. So you add that, and once you join your unit, if you're in the Air Force, once you go join your squadron in the Navy, or you go to your ship, or you go to your command, and you start deploying, you start doing different things, right? All your experiences, all those things get added on to the reconstructed self that they gave you. Whether it's good or bad, it gets added on and on and on and on. And then all of a sudden, man, the time comes to say, hey, enough's enough. Whether I want to or not, it's time to separate from the service. And then all of a sudden, now you're out here in the real world, what they call it, the real world. And the expectation is that, we get done with our service, and I'm going to go home, and hey, welcome home, and we're all proud of you, and the pat on the back, and the pictures, and all of that, right? And then you flip your switch, and I'm a civilian again.
Yeah.
And that's not how it freaking happens.
No.
There is no such thing as going back to being a civilian. That's gone. So to me, the term veteran is a special term because of the notes. You're not a civilian, but you're not a soldier or an airman or a sailor anymore.
And you're in limbo.
So it's not so much that in limbo, but what we are.
You feel that way.
But you absolutely feel that way at first.
Yes.
Right? What you are is you're a mix. You're a hybrid. I got the best of being a damn sailor, and now I get to be a civilian again, and I get to join both of those. And a lot of times the brothers and sisters lose sight that it's not just the bad, but it's also the good that we're bringing in.
Yes.
Because we'll focus on my PTSD. I'll focus on the bad knees and the jacked up back and dealing with the VA and a bunch of clowns out there.
Yeah.
And our frustration out in the real world where somebody acts a fool and I can't just take them behind the shed and whoop their ass. It's not allowed. What? Well, how do I resolve my problems? Now I got to rethink again. So it's all of that. But we also have to focus on the positive sides of, man, got such great training. I learned so many good things. Discipline, structure, focus, brotherhood and sisterhood, duty, selflessness. All of those things are ingrained in us, right? So the term veteran, it is a hybrid term. And I think that a lot of the brothers and sisters, when they separate, they struggle to embrace that idea.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that, and it happened to me, and for a lot of years, I'll share, I didn't want to say that I was a veteran. I ran away from that for a lot of years. There's a lot of people out there that have known me for many years, and now they're surprised. Oh, you're a vet? I've known you for like 20 years. I'm like, I've been out 20 years, bro.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, and we find a lot of that out there on the street, right? And for various reasons. And I think that, man, we got to stop being ashamed of putting up our veteran flag. Now, don't do it dirty.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy or that girl, because then you know what's going to happen is we're going to call you out.
Yeah,
because you're being ridiculous, right? But it's okay to come out and say, I'm going to embrace the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is who I am. This is who I am now.
Yep.
I'm not going to change back. Just like I'm not going to be able to go back in. And a lot of my Marines, man, they fight it. But, bro, you're not going back in country again, my man.
Yeah.
Put the gun down, brother. Leave it for the range.
Yeah.
Right? And a big part of that is the psychological, the emotional side of it. When we're in, man, we're used to that structure. And it's not just discipline, it's structure. From the moment you get up to the moment you lay down, if you lay down, you know what you have to do, where you have to be. The particulars may change, but, man, I know what to expect. Even in a combat situation, even in the middle of a flight deck of an aircraft carrier, when I have jets taking on and off, I can always refer back to my training, refer back to my superiors, my chief, and I know what I got to do, when I got to do it, and how I got to do it, right?
Yep.
And then the government does a beautiful job of taking a fine-tuned machine like you, and they place them out in the real world and say, hey, go figure it out.
Yeah.
And now I got to go make my own structure. And what the heck do I do?
Yeah.
Shit. And this is where we all get in trouble. And this is where we try to rely on the VA and the services are not there. And a lot of the brothers and sisters, unfortunately, they lose their way. And we get into drug addiction and we get into self-destructive behaviors and we get deeper into that PTSD hold, right?
And for me, what I had to struggle with, because I went into the military and then I was a police officer for 5 years.
Double dipped. You didn't have enough one time, right?
Yeah, no, apparently not. But then, then you go into, yes, I was a business owner, so the title, sounds great and everything like that, but I'm behind a desk. Especially with my kind of business, I'm having to be behind the desk. Yeah, there's some production I help with and things like that, but I mean, the sense of purpose that I had being in the military and then police officer now was gone. I mean, I've since, obviously, with working with you and how you've helped me kind of overcome a lot of that stuff, and then, like I talked about in the first episode, where I went into therapy and stuff like that which never would have did that had I not.
It's a big taboo.
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't talk about your feelings.
Nope.
You don't express.
Yep.
What's wrong with you that you're crying?
Yep.
Are you dumb?
Yep.
What? You're weak. You're this. And there's a whole bunch of nonsense that we get told. And you know what? It's not just from the military. That's cultural. Little boys don't cry.
Yep.
But we're emotional beings. We're not robots.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because, I'm sure you're comfortable with me sharing, but you and I have literally both cried to each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, between life stress, work stress,
everything stress,
just everything stress. We've been able to just open up with each other and just be honest with each other. And even before when we came in here, we both had a very open, honest what we were feeling today.
I need a 6-foot radius of silence around me. Don't touch me.
I mean, today.
But I need a hug, though.
Yeah, I mean, but also it shows too, though, that in business ownership, veterans, regular civilian. It sounds weird saying it like that, but we're talking about veterans right now, so that's why I'm saying it that way. But we all have days where we don't feel it, and we may not necessarily want to do the thing that we got to do.
Right.
Like today, I honestly didn't feel like doing this today, but here we are. You gotta push through and persevere, and especially it's just part of the game. Life happens, and you just gotta just continue on.
Well, that's the thing, and that's the hardest thing that I think that the transition. And I'm not talking just about veterans. It's very difficult for veterans, a lot of veterans, to make that transition because it does require. How do I set up my own structure?
Yeah.
How do I set up my own discipline? When I'm fighting my demons, when I'm having those low moments, right? The sad moments, the angry moments. When you're in, you have your fellows around you that'll prop you up, that'll slap you upside your head, that'll make you laugh, shoulder to cry on, whatever it is. You have that support. And then when you come out, you don't have that support anymore.
Yep.
But now is when we need it the most,
yep.
Right? And that's why it's so important, not just as a veteran, but as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that you find like-minded individuals to surround yourself with, right? Because we always feel, we're told that we always have to be on. Yeah, you're the owner. You're the CEO, president, founder, right?
Yep.
So now you're up here, and now I got to act a certain way. I got to talk a certain way. I got to look a certain way. And it's got to be 24/7 because you never know who's looking and blah, freaking blah, blah, blah. But man, who's taking care of in here? And again, we're not robots. We go back to the same thing. So having that tribe, some people call it having your tribe
yep.
or finding your tribe. Having that around you, and not just having it around you, but developing a relationship with them to this point, to where I know that I can pick up the phone, man, and I can call you, I can call Chad, I can call Owen, I can call anybody and say, man, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
The big bad man that everybody knows is in trouble, and I need my help.
Yep.
And people unconditionally will come in and offer that assistance wherever it may need, yep. Right? And it's having that mentality of, if you're part of that tribe, I'm one to give with no expectation of return.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's the mentality there. And that was ingrained in us when we were in the service. Yep. We're living in very divided times right now, unfortunately.
Yes.
But we go back to when we were in, there was no division.
Correct.
I'll talk crap about you because you're freaking dirty army.
That means
But hey, and those jarheads, I got some crayons for y'all in the back. But at the end of the day, man, if anybody notices something, it's this. When you got a bunch of veterans together, nobody's messing with them, are they?
No.
No. And if one of them gets attacked, everybody fights back, don't they? Mm-hmm. So that's the same mentality that you want to have as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And finding that tribe, and if it's not there, create it.
Yeah.
And how do we create that? Just building relationships one step at a time with individuals, man.
Yep.
Right? You sit down, hey, how you doing? Why do you do what you do it? How do you do it? Wow, that's interesting, man. Tell me more. Tell me about yourself, right?
Yep.
And then you do the same thing, and you're open, and the relationship flows, and you get to this point where you can look back and say, man, I've got people around me that really not just care about me because I have a business or I have money or I have this or that. They care about me because I'm an individual, I'm a human being,
Yep.
right? And I care about them because they're a human being. And then great things come from that.
Yeah, and one thing, we're very similar, and that's why, why now I help you with VetNet is because we realize we're very similar minded in the fact that we actually, I guess the best way to describe it is when I help somebody, it helps me. Like,
Yeah.
By helping another veteran or honestly anybody, like I was just helping, who was it the other day? I can't think of who it was, but I was at a thing with my wife and somebody was asking me advice because I was a business owner and they weren't a veteran, but listen, I don't care if you're a veteran or not. Like, I'm going to help anybody that can get help.
Right.
That's part of the reason why I started the podcast is because I want to be able to help people in business. Obviously today we're talking about just, general veterans. That was kind of the main topic, but I mean, as we go along in this podcast, I'm going to be talking about like so many different topics that hopefully some business owner can take from it and use it.
There's some value on it.
Correct. Yeah.
We made a lot, man. Let me tell you something, brother. I made so many mistakes in business.
Yes.
I don't even know how I'm here. But why wouldn't you share those mistakes so somebody else doesn't make them? Because when I was making them, it sucked. It sucked. When I screwed things up, man, that's a horrible feeling, right?
Yeah.
I would even go as far as saying that being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, is like being in the service, man. It is a special brotherhood.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, not everybody's made to be the owner of the company.
True.
And that's got to be okay. I think that entrepreneurship, business ownership is a great career, is a great way to take care of your family and everything, right? But it's not for everybody.
Yep.
And I still think that you either have it or you don't. The skills you got to develop, the knowledge you have to attain, right? But you either have that or you don't. And that makes it a brotherhood, a sisterhood.
Yes.
And that makes it a special place. Like being in the service, like being an airman, like being a soldier, like being a sailor. Once you're in business, man, again, you made a great point, and it happens to me all the time. We'll go to a big networking event, or I'll be out and about. I just came back from Miami. I took a trip down south. I'm from Miami. And I took my son's down there for a couple of days. And when I was down there, automatically I picked out a couple of vets, man, and it hits different.
Some
right?
of them stand out.
It's just, they always do. They always do.
Yeah.
I bet some freaking Coast Guard dudes, but whatever. I can't hold it against
Space
me.
Force too.
No, I don't know about that. But hey, we digress. I'm sure that we'll have a special episode for them, right?
Yep.
But I get that same feeling also when you're in a crowded room and you're like, oh, you own a business?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I've had my own deal for a while. Or I just started a business.
Yep.
Oh, you're an entrepreneur too? And it clicks.
Yes.
It clicks, right?
Yep.
And you're like, wow, oh man, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And you got that special connection on it.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there's certain people, there's special people out there that you just
Yeah.
can't connect with. But I think for the most part, there's a lot of similarities in that.
Yep.
And I think it's very interesting because it goes towards the psychological, goes towards the emotional, it goes towards, the mental
Yes.
side of everything, right?
Yeah.
And it goes towards the more we think that we're different and we're the only ones going through X, Y, or Z, the more things we have in common, man. We just don't want to see it.
Yep. And you mentioned earlier about failure and things like that and in business. And, there's a lot of experts out there that I've listened to that they say, oh, you just got to go through and you got to fail yourself and do it. It's like, I think differently. I'm one that I think, yes, you're going to come across your own failures. Don't get me wrong. But, as minimal as you can make those failures is crucial. And the way that I've tried to do it in my life, even learning from my dad, like telling me about his mistakes in his life, is literally trying to learn from their mistakes before you even make them yourself.
You know, it makes so much common sense. It makes so
Yeah.
much sense that just people don't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And we can learn that from each other, whether that's, veterans, or just business owners, whatever in general. Like, we can all work with each other, learn from each other, what we made mistakes on, and how we can maybe avoid those pitfalls. And that's
And not just for the mistakes, but the successes as well.
exactly, yes.
Man, you
What's
scaled up in
worked.
2 years. What worked for you?
Yep.
And I'm not talking about, because everybody's worried about the secret sauce. You're going to steal my secret sauce. You're going to steal this. You're going to take that. No, wait a minute. Number one thing is to know the secret sauce. Another thing is to actually
Take
execute.
the action.
Right?
Yep.
And number two, what if you told me the secret sauce and I was successful? What is that going to do to you?
Make you feel good.
Yeah, but the mindset is, if you go up, then I must be going down.
Oh, yeah.
And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous with that, man. I don't believe in competition. I don't. Even in my own field with insurance. I'll work with other insurance agents. I don't care.
Yep.
Let's all come up together.
Yep.
Are you going to be able to take every single client in your city or state?
Probably not.
No.
I'll try.
Absolutely. We'll try. But the reality is that there is enough out there to eat.
Yeah, correct.
Now, don't be a sucker and give up your business. Don't be that chump.
Yeah. Well,
But still, there is such a thing as, man, we're all in it together. We're benefiting the local economy, because that is what it's about as well. Remember this, SBA has told us this, up to 80% of the local dollars come from small businesses, not the big corporations, not the Walmarts of the world or the Publixes. It's the small mom and pop shops, the small businesses, the entrepreneurs with 1, 2, or 3 employees only. It generates up to 80% of the local economy in a city or a town.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want your local economy to pop up?
Yep.
We all have a part to play in that, right?
And also, I work with a lot of the other printing companies in the area, and we
Right.
work well together. And sometimes there's things that I can do, they can do, or they can do something that I can't do, or just like if somebody needs a quick turnaround and I'm booked solid, I can push them over there.
Right.
And that helped me in actually my first acquisition. Because I had that relationship open with another printer. When he was ready to sell, he approached me, and I was able to acquire his customers.
That's right.
And if it wasn't for the fact that I was willing to work with him, he wouldn't have felt that trust to come to me.
That's right.
And approach me to do that thing.
But that goes a long way. I think that there's a definition of business that I always like to give, which I think is important in this type of mindset. I think that any business in any industry can be defined as an interaction or relationship between two human beings.
Yes.
That is it.
Yep.
We'd like to complicate ourselves unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Anything goes down to a relationship, a communication between two human beings. That is it.
Yep.
So if the essence of business is, a relationship, why don't make them positive?
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of that comes down to trust, right? I'm going to trust that if I give no expectation of return, that I'm going to get taken care of. I'm going to trust that if I help you down the line, if I need it, you're going to come and help me,
Yep.
right? And then what if I trust that I'm putting myself out there and I'm setting myself up for a big disappointment when I do need the help and Josh doesn't come through for me, right? The more you do it, the less you'll think of that, because after a while, it's like, you know what? If you do, you do, and if you don't, you don't. Because if you don't, somebody else will, because I've helped out so many people.
Yep.
And that's the point where we all should get to,
Yep.
right? Especially as veterans, because we have that big commonality, man. We've already gone through some crap. We've already done some crap. And if we don't really take care of each other, who's going to take care of us?
Yep.
Is the VA going to take care of us? Is the government going to take care of us? Is our families going to take care of us? Maybe, maybe not. But you know who damn well I know who's going to take care of me, man? My fellow vet.
Yep.
That I can trust.
Yep.
And it's that mentality that we've forgotten. A lot of us have forgotten that in the street over the years.
Yep.
And I think that, groups like us, like VetNet, and some others out there, The essence of what we try to do is to remind that. Say, hey, man, you may be at the service, but you're not done serving.
Yep.
Now you're not just going to serve your country. You're going to serve your fellow veterans and your fellow business owners and entrepreneurs. Now let's get to it.
Yeah.
And if I catch you ripping somebody off, now you're going to get called out. Now we're going to have an issue because accountability is a big part of it.
Yep.
We were used to that accountability and we didn't get it. Now we don't have it anymore. That's how people start acting a fool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You know, and you know, social media I think has a lot to do with that as well, because social media tells us a lot about business. And I'm going to put that in quotation marks. A good business owner is the one that is grinding 24/7, 18-hour days, right? And the measure of success is when Josh comes out in that big video, man, with the Maserati in the back and the big mansion out back, and he's showing out the jewels and all of that, and that is the definition of success.
Yep.
No, that's ridiculous. That's not reality.
Yeah.
It's not reality, man, right? And if we don't stop buying into that, and the only way to stop buying into that is to have your tribe around you, keep you grounded, keep you solid, right? Keep that ego in check and say, hey, no. You're acting a fool, dude. You're messing up.
Yeah.
Let's do this instead.
Yeah. And I think that what you kind of touched on earlier, as far as like, you know, the veteran raising the flag, or you're not feeling like you want to even be represented or known as a veteran just because of different reasons. That's one thing what we have struggled with VetNet is because we're trying to connect the veteran business owners with each other so that we can help each other out.
That's right.
And most people, and I was one of those, that didn't want to raise my veteran-owned flag, you know, or anything like that.
Right.
And you convinced me that I need to put it out there more.
And we still struggle with it. I still struggle with it.
Yeah.
I still struggle with it. You know, in none of my advertisements for my business do you see veteran-owned. And I need to fix that.
You got on to me about it. You got to do it now.
Hey, do as I say, not as I do. An old chief used to tell me that. And it takes a long time to kind of shift that, because again, I don't want the attention on me.
Yeah.
And I don't want the attention on me for the wrong reasons either, right? And then you get into, and I see this a lot with my Vietnam guys and with my Afghanistan guys.
Yep.
Where it was unresolved. It was unresolved, man, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's above our pay grade. But the feelings remain.
Yep.
I went over there, and not all of us came back, and a lot of us came back all screwed up. For what? So now that when they come out, it's like, why do I even want to point attention to being a veteran when I have all these feelings inside that I'm struggling with about that service? Because the perspective here, this may be an unpopular view, is that a lot more veterans than you think are not as patriotic as people think they are.
Yeah.
And that's a hard concept, my brother.
Yeah.
That's a hard concept to grasp. But then you start thinking, why? Why are you not feeling patriotic? Because my government put me in a place where I shouldn't have been for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And I lost some brothers and sisters. Wouldn't you feel bitter?
Yeah.
100%. Of course I would.
Yeah.
And who's helping them walk through all those feelings and emotions? Nobody, because we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
And if you talk about that, you're unpatriotic. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's your freaking shoulder, right?
Yep.
So that's the reality that we see out on the street, that we have to kind of fight and walk through and pull them out of that.
Yep.
And it starts with saying, like you said, hey, it's okay to cry. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to be pissed off.
It's also okay to be proud about your service, even if you don't fully agree with everything that happened.
Because then the next stage of that is, let's recognize the good.
Yep.
Let's recognize the stuff that was good and that is good, and all the positives that you could get out of it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And let's balance that out with some of the things that you cannot control. None of us can control why they started war. Right?
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to the coaching that we do, not just with entrepreneurs, but with kids. Focus on the things that you can control.
Well, what we got told when we were there, basically, because there was a lot of people that necessarily didn't agree with why we were there, but they told us basically that, well, you're there for your brother and sister next to you. we're
That's
here.
it.
We're here already. We have to be here.
Right.
It's what we signed up and they sent
Shift
us
your
here.
mind.
So now just be there for your brother and
That's
sister.
it.
That's all you have to do.
Thing. And so, and a lot of the veterans need that reminder, because it's hard to get over that bitterness,
Yep.
and it's hard to get over that anger. They all need therapy. This is why most of us should not be working for somebody else.
Yeah.
This is why entrepreneurship and business ownership, to me, is a beautiful field for our veterans.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have our challenges and we're working through a lot of that stuff. And some employers, unfortunately, are not trained. They don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately. But hey, if you're running your own deal, you can deal with that. And then you surround yourself with other like-minded people, and we all support each other. And now we have that flexibility of business ownership, right? Where you can actually work through all your emotions and feelings and everything, maybe seek out some therapy or whatever it is, right? And still be successful at what you do.
Yeah. And I may be too open about some of my stuff sometimes. But even my staff and my team, I've opened up with them and I told them about my struggles with PTSD. And because I have days where, and honestly, like I said, today was one of those days I didn't really feel like talking, or anything like that.
Yep.
But, the show's got to go on. We got to do what we planned. And
It's the mission.
there you go.
The mission's got to go.
Yep. But I wanted them to also be aware that if I ever came in and I didn't feel like talking or anything like that, if I just kind of
Not because of them.
it's not because of anything with them. It's just
right.
it's just one of those days, and they've been very responsive and
Well, you know what that
understanding.
is, Josh. That's good leadership. We lead from the front.
Yeah.
You see, and that's what you're exhibiting there, which is a good thing. So I don't agree with the term "I share too much." I think you've achieved a higher state of consciousness where you recognize the benefit of actually sharing what's going on with you, and your emotional intelligence is higher. There's a term called emotional intelligence that a lot of people overlook. They don't pay enough attention to, right? Emotional intelligence. It's not AI.
Yeah.
It's not knowing when your wife pissed off at you. No. Emotional intelligence is how do we not just recognize other people's feelings and emotions, but how do we recognize our own, and how do we recognize how that affects the way that we communicate and have relationships?
Yeah.
If we already define a business as a relationship between two people, and we know that the basis of anything is communication, right? Why don't we work more on emotional intelligence? I don't know. We should.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're doing and what you continue to do, it exhibits that, because it also allows them to get into that emotional intelligence and open up and say, ooh, he's sharing. Maybe I should share.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not feeling good, but now I have a good culture, a good environment where I'm able to share. Now what do you have? You have a very cohesive work environment, right?
Yes. Yep.
Most places, most offices, what do people complain about? They don't complain so much about the boss. They complain about their coworkers.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's a freaking bitch. This freaking bitch. And the drama and blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yep.
So for those business owners and entrepreneurs out there that may be struggling with retention, right, and company culture and attitudes, look at emotional intelligence and see how you can get your team to buy into that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to resolve those problems 9 times out of 10.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And what are we really doing when we're doing all of that? That is called unit integrity. And that's something that we were taught when we were in, right?
Yeah.
You ain't got to like the dude, but y'all going to get along when we're out there in a firefight.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
I'm naval aviation. When I'm up there on that flight, they're humping bombs, and I got jets screaming back and forth. I don't got to look out. I don't got to like the dude, but we're going to get along, right? Because he's looking for my back, and he's going to save my life before I get sucked into that intake or get blown off the side.
That's where
right?
you get that team camaraderie.
And you got to get over it.
Again, even if you don't like them, just that you work as a team and a cohesive team. That's all you have to do.
And you know what the other side of that is? Conflict resolution.
Yep.
You know what, bro? I just don't like you. I could be petty. I could be passive aggressive. I could smile at you all day and talk shit behind your back like most people do out here.
Yep.
What did we do back then? Hey, you know what, bro? I don't like you. We're going to resolve this.
Yep.
Close the door. And we're going to figure this out, right?
Yep.
And if 9 times out of 10, we don't figure it out. We might be a little sore after.
Yep.
But guess what? Now we got some common ground,
Yeah.
or we really just resolved and got to a point of respect to say, okay, you know what? It's out of our system. You stay over there, I stay over here. But we got it out in the open.
Yep.
We don't do enough of that here. So again, these are perfect examples of things that come from the veteran side, from the soldier airman side, that are very applicable to business ownership and entrepreneur life and regular life, right? That a veteran brings to the table. And sometimes the veteran forgets that he has those teachings, those learnings inside. So they need the rest of us as a tribe to come in and say, hey, bro, you already know this. Let's put it into action. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Right? Yeah. Are you messing around, or are you getting to the point? And why are you sitting around? Get the freaking what to work, bro. What's wrong with you?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we have those conversations in a rude manner and in a loud manner. And it's abrasive and it's in your face and it's touching feelings and emotions. But it's okay. Why is it okay? Because that's my brother telling me that. That's my sister pushing those buttons.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part about our veteran community in business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, you can't do that in a normal work
Bro,
environment. But
I'll get sued.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have somebody come pick me up, and you're gonna see me on the news.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But we have a responsibility to do that for our fellow veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if they've been out in the cold for so long. I mean, we got to bring them into the fold.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's what we're trying to do with the VetNet as much as we possibly can. You know, help people get into business, or if they're already in business, you know, try to help them
stay
through
in
that.
business.
And again, some of that's on the personal side where we're helping them, whether that's, you know, they're getting them mental health help, or
right.
just being that person for them that they can, you know, talk to and you know, be there for them. You know, there's all these different opportunities that we're trying to create to help them in that situation.
I remember this, man. The term work-life balance is just a term.
Yep.
In my opinion, that's not really reality.
Yep.
There is no such thing as balance. I don't think. Balance denotes 50%, 50-50, right? It's perfectly like this. That's not real life. That's not real life.
Yeah.
Real life says that during the day, the balance is going to be 90-10 to the business. Mm-hmm. And when I get out the business and I go home and I'm playing with my little boys, the balance is going to be 99% personal and 1% business.
Yep.
That's not balanced, but that's the reality how it should be.
Yes.
Right? And a big part of that, again, goes towards the psychological, the emotional, right? All of that stuff that's in here. And how do we manage and handle that?
Yep.
So that you're able to function at 100% capacity when you're in work, but function 100% capacity when you're not. Because you can't always be plugged in.
Yeah.
You can't always be on. That's not healthy. How are we taking care of ourselves? When are we taking care of ourselves? Are we actually separating and disconnecting? How do we, and you know, and you, better than most, should understand this, because I'm in the same boat, is we spend so much time filling other people's cups and pouring into them, right?
Yeah.
When are you going to pour into your own? Because eventually that cup runs dry.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the real balance, is I'm going to pour, and then once in a while, I'm going to have to tell somebody, hey, man, I can't pour into you right now. I need you to pour into me, or I need to go pour it into myself.
Yep.
And that's got to be okay.
Yep.
And it's not that it's got to be okay with others. It's got to be okay within the person.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
Yeah, I agree.
And those are the times where we should be getting the phone calls and the texts and the messages saying, hey, brother, I'm struggling with this, man. Give me some words. Papa, I got you. I know. I've been there. Tin, tin, ta.
Yep.
Those are the key moments when we're struggling with those concepts of, man, I'm running dry. I'm running low. Yep. I'm freaking tapped out. I'm about to choke somebody out, you know?
Well, and I think that's where, you know, we've had that good relationship where, you know, where I've hit my max sometimes with stress with work and things like that, where I've texted you and I'm like, well, you know, hey, I you know, I need some encouragement, some prayers, whatever the case may be, you know, whatever the situation was, you know, and you know, you guys are always there, even if it's just a quick like text.
You all right?
Yeah.
What's up with you?
Yeah, no, anything, even no matter what it is, it's like just the fact that you're able to just kind of let somebody know, and like that, you know, you got somebody there that's, you know, caring for you, even if it's just through a phone, you know, through a text message.
It's the little things that go a long way. And that applies in business too, but it applies in life, right? And I always go back to, again, my time in service. I'll take you back to a hectic place, which is that flight deck. You can't hear anything. We have people, you can't hear nothing. How do I know that I'm protected, man? I feel somebody's hand on my shoulder. Sometimes we got to make sure that the other person feels our hand on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And that's all they need. That's all I needed. It's either a hand here or a hand here or a quick tug or a tap. Oh, okay. He's there. Let me keep on fighting the good fight.
Yep.
Right? And I think we forget that sometimes we get so focused in. And we forget it both ways. We forget to touch the other person and let them know. But we also forget to look for that touch because sometimes we think we're all alone. You know, we're lonely people, man. And I still struggle with that. A lot of us do. We may be surrounded by 100 people, man, but we're alone.
No. Yep.
And that's a hard place to be. And sometimes you don't see it. You don't see it, right?
Yep.
And you go down that thing, and it's stop, and just, it's somebody touching me, man. Yeah, they are. Okay, so it's not so bad. It's a reminder.
Yeah, and you gotta, and having that, again, emotional intelligence enough to know that you are feeling that way and putting it out there to someone. You know,
It's that trust.
Yep.
It's that trust.
Yep.
So if you're willing to trust somebody with your life when you're in the service, your fellow soldier, airman, sailor, whatever it is, why wouldn't you do that with those around you now?
Yeah.
Right?
So to wrap up, basically what we're talking about is you got to find that community.
That's right.
Whether that's, we have veterans because that's what we are, but also the business ownership.
That's right.
Whatever it is, you find that community that you can connect with and that you can, talk with whenever you are having those moments of struggle, because as a business ownership,
it's coming.
It's going to happen.
It's not if, but
it's
when.
How many times the when happens.
That's right.
Depending. But, just finding that community is huge. And I know for me, obviously, veteran business owners or just veterans in general is my community that I always reach out to. Yes. But as I've gone in my entrepreneurship journey more, I've also started to connect with other business owners as well, and just in general too. And it's been definitely a big help.
That community doesn't necessarily have to, because sometimes we think, that community has to be in my same industry or my same this or my same that.
Nope.
No.
Nope, not at all.
No, not at all. It could be in a whole different field. It's all about the connection that you have with the individuals, the relationships, the trust, right?
Yes. Yep.
That's what really counts. Now, if they're in your same industry or you have some commonalities, it helps because you have common ground to talk, but it doesn't have to. And I'll say it again, if you're in a place, man, and you're just not finding that, go create it.
Yep.
Go create it. I'm not a very religious person, man, but I do go back to the essence of what Jesus taught, which was where there's two people there, that's a church.
Yep.
So you can technically build your own church in your community by just getting 2 or 3 people together, man, and having a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's your force right there, right? And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So just thank you, Julian, for being with us. And again, if you got any insurance needs, go see Legacy Insurance.
But more importantly, if you're a veteran in the Central Florida area, Ocala, Marion County,
get with VetNet.
I'll even tell them with Alachua, man. We'll even take Lake County. Maybe I ought to vet you out because y'all are weird.
Yeah.
I kid. Anybody, whether you're a veteran that is looking for something to do, man, you're just kind of lost, right? Whether you just started your entrepreneurship journey, whether you've been a business owner for years, we invite you, come look us up, start being a part of it. We got a lot of good things coming, but we need the brothers, we need the sisters.
Yep.
Not just for us to help them, but for y'all to come in and help us help others.
Yep. And then again, gather them all together and help each other.
That's right.
Not just us helping them.
That's right. And we don't do it for the sake of recognition. If you're looking for a group where you're going to take a lot of pictures for social media and you get a lot of recognition that way, we're not that group.
Yep.
We're not that group, unfortunately.
Yep.
Be a nice grade for that. Go look at your local Chamber of Commerce. Go look at some of those stuff. There's a lot of visibility and branding.
Yep.
You're coming for us for the meat on the bone.
Yep. So, all the veterans out there, make sure to reach out to VetNet. And thank you guys for watching the show, and like and subscribe, and
right.
we'll see you next time.
Go Navy.
Go Army.